Hello, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Mike.
And we are AutoEclinic. Thank you for tuning in to today's mustache edition of AutoEclinic. What we have today, we're going to show you how to replace the upper plastic plenum on a GM 3.8. We've got a 2004 Chevrolet Impala here in the shop today. We're going to show you how to remove and replace the upper plenum and gaskets along with it.
My mustache is beautiful.
So let's get started.
This right here, it just pulls off. There's no clamp. I didn't say it was easy to pull off. I said I pull it off. Go ahead and unplug as much as you can. Try not to break any of the clips. Try not to break anything for that matter. Okay. Evaporative emissions connector, push on that, get it out of the way. Vacuum line here. Okay, these wires, we should have enough room to get them out of the way. If you're going to take them off, you really want to mark them. These wires have been replaced, so they're not marked. So they'll need to be marked on the coil packs before we take them off. Remove your fuel rail, so your injectors need to be unplugged. This is your main injector harness, I believe. Okay, like I said, we're just slowly getting stuff out of the way. Coming along pretty well. We're going to squirt a little fuel here. We probably should have depressurized the fuel system. We did not. Well, here's another one. Let's try it. Yeah, we had a little bit of squirt there, but see, we didn't have much. We didn't have much come out of there, so that kind of bothers me. With that being said, when the fuel pumps go bad, the valve in there that holds pressure on it, they'll stop holding pressure. Yeah, looks like we can go and unbolt the fuel rail now. Looks like we have, I believe it's 4 10mm bolts, and that fuel rail comes out of the way. Now the problem is your injectors go down into the intake. Now they have an O-ring that seals them off. You want to go ahead and spray them now with some penetrating oil. In this case, we're using a Lucas Toolbox Buddy, but WD-40 would work, PB Blast, or any kind of good penetrating oil. And that's going to help free up those injectors, because you really don't want them to stick in, because when they stick in, they can come loose right here at this clip. Now you can always remove them here as well, but I like to pull them out as one whole unit. It's just easier that way. When you're working on book time and you're trying to make a living, you want to do this as quick as possible, but still do it properly so the customer will have a properly fixed car. And that's what I found to be the case. Like I said, if you just lube them up real well, let them sit, let that penetrating oil get down in there. Now we're going to gently pry up on our fuel rail. And as you can see, it looks like the penetrating oil worked pretty well, because they're popping right up. Wow, look at that. That worked great. You see our O-rings are still there. It's a good idea while you got it apart to go ahead and go back with new O-rings because they get very hard and dry over the years. But as you can see, it was a really good idea to go ahead and spray them down and let them sit because they came up real easy. Now, it's not much more work to go ahead and remove the intake, or at least the upper plenum anyway. You can see we got a bracket right here. You've got to get that bolt out of that bracket, and it is a pistol to get it off unless you remove the entire bracket. I'm going to show you a cheat secret real quick that I've learned. Now, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and unbolt the throttle body. It would make it a little easier. We're going to see how this works. You can take a pry bar and then bend that bracket back. It doesn't really bend it, it just kind of hinges because it bolts there to the intake. So we're going to see how this works. Oh yeah, see, it just comes back nicely. Now you've got room to pull the intake up. Let's go ahead and work on getting the rest of our intake bolts out. It looks like they're all 8 millimeters. We're replacing the intake, so we don't really need to go in any kind of sequence, and also it's plastic. So, and you know, you can argue it both ways. You can say you need to remove it in the same sequence that you tighten it down in. I don't see that big of a deal about it, but I'm sure somebody's going to email us and be mad about it. Now that should be all of them. We're going to go ahead and gently pull up on it. Yep. Brake booster vacuum hose. Now it's easier to go ahead and remove your throttle cables. Okay, now we're going to look at our intake to see if it's damaged. We can go and let our bolts fall out. Here's our gasket. This tube, not real sure what it's for. It's on every one of these, so go back with it. The gasket doesn't actually look too bad. When they rip, you'll see them, they'll just separate. So we can put that off to the side. Now right here is where these intakes get brittle. Now see this right here? Now this one's actually not that bad. On the older style, you could take a screwdriver and these would fall apart right here. But as you can see, it's not in the greatest of shape either. So this is right here. See where you have hot coolant coming through here? Now see how brittle they get? Now that's just not good. It's a good thing we're replacing this intake. Now I know we are taking a screwdriver to it, but I don't think it should be that brittle. I've seen these on the older designs especially. They'll start leaking really bad here and they'll get water into the oil because they'll get real brittle and just leak right here. That's why it's a good idea to go ahead and replace these intakes while you've got them off. I guess while we're here, we can go ahead and talk about a few sensors that are on the throttle body. This is your idle air control valve, because when your throttle plate is closed when you're not pressing the throttle whatsoever, this allows air to bypass to keep it idling at the certain RPM it needs to idle at. Here's your throttle position sensor. It tells the computer how open or closed the throttle is. And here's your mass airflow sensor. It tells the computer how much air is coming into the engine. Since we've got the throttle body off, we're going to go ahead and clean the throttle body while we're here. See how dirty and nasty that is. We're using our Versol parts washer and also some carb cleaner.